Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swissamerica Trading Corporation. Thank you for joining us for this most recent episode of our podcast, Secret War on Cash, where we discuss different things that are taking place in the financial markets, in the economy, things that are really starting to take shape actually at a very quick rate and have a very serious, potentially very serious impact on each and every one of us. I have with me today Chris Agelastos, my co-host. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Doing well. I survived 2023, so that's all I could really ask for, I guess.
That's definitely a step in the positive direction. Speaking of which, as we kind of newly embarked on our journey into 2024, and I'm sure like everyone, am hoping for a great new year where we can start to see strong signs of a financial and economic turnaround being evidenced in our financial markets. The problem is, as the financial reports and data has started to come out, it's looking like anything but a turnaround. As we look at the article that's in the link or on your screen if you're watching, the U.S. job market is depicted there, and there's no other way to say it other than it looks terrible. They believe that 38% of companies are going to be laying off workers this year. That's basically 4 out of every 10 companies. The ripple effect that we will have throughout the entire economy could be absolutely devastating. It's also being discussed, Chris, how half the companies out there will be implementing hiring freezes this year or cutting bonus programs and other perks. This is all happening at a time where American households have been struggling just to cover basic essentials like food and gas, rent, etc. Things that we've covered on a few of our previous podcasts. And a consequence of this is what it will do to our financial markets, which subsequently could cause a loss in people's investment savings as well as their retirement accounts, etc. So, Chris, do you think these numbers and predictions are accurate, or is this something being somewhat blown out of proportion?
Yeah, well, I was hoping it wasn't accurate and that it was being blown out of proportion, but unfortunately, I don't think so. I think it makes sense in a lot of ways. Looking into the company that did the survey, I mean, they work with Fortune 500 companies doing recruiting, right, and finding candidates for these companies to fill all kinds of roles. So they're interviewing or surveying these Fortune 500 companies and asking them, hey, what are you looking for this year as far as positions? So 4 out of 10 companies doing layoffs. And then also they mentioned in there, over 30% are reducing and eliminating bonuses. So that's obviously gonna hit people in the pocketbook as well. And like you mentioned, really, I mean, that's only stage one. Okay, so let's say you survive that. Maybe your monthly budget is dented a bit and it affects you. But now the other thing is, new companies or other companies, I should say, are freezing new hires, right? So
Sure.
maybe you want to move, you're not happy with your job, you want to go elsewhere, or you're one of the 40% that get laid off and are going to get out there in the job force and try to find a new position. And more than half the companies out there aren't going to even be hiring. So I think the big thing to take away from all of this is, if you love your job, do what you can to keep it, because you really don't want to be out there. Unlike a couple years ago, right? They said it was, the favor was sort of in the employees' hands. People could jump from company to company and maybe get pay increases. And this was right, coming out of COVID. Well, those days are long gone. So if you like your job, keep it. If you don't like your job, maybe reconsider and try to look for the positive side in it, because it's certainly not going to be a great market for people looking for work.
No, I agree. And that you mentioned the stage of it, and that's what's kind of concerning when you start looking through the data that's coming out and the numbers that they're giving, the projections or predictions. There's layers to it, and it's just not like a one-time thing is happening. I mean, it's just
Right.
there's multiple layers to it, multiple aspects to it, which is only going to compound the problem. And
Yeah.
then, adding to the job issues we've been discussing right now, we now also have this continued growth of artificial intelligence in the job
Hmm.
sector. Now, automation is not a new concept. It's what has driven a lot of the progress we see around us today. It has, in many ways, created a very comfortable world for us to live in throughout our lifetime. This is different, though. AI is literally displacing humans entirely from the
Yeah.
workplace. So, as you can see in the article or the link, it's only going to pick up speed from here. And this is why it's so important for those still working, as you mentioned, to be carefully planning and investing
Yeah.
for the future, as to not get blindsided when their job of today is gone tomorrow, heaven forbid.
Hmm.
I guess I've got a two-part question for you, Chris. One, is there any reason you can see this momentum in AI slowing down? And two, from an investment standpoint, what's the best way to position through this change?
Yeah. Well, as far as slowing down, I really don't think so. I think that would be wishful thinking, but AI in a lot of cases, not every case, but in a lot of cases, can be a lot more efficient. A computer can get a lot more done than a human, right? That needs to take breaks or maybe get sick. And so what comes with that is it's a lot less expensive. It's a lot less expensive because you don't have to pay a robot. You just have to. Sure, you have the upfront costs and you have to maintain and things like that, but Amazon has been working with AI quite a bit. They even, in fact, I think it mentioned in this article, they have basically a robot that actually looks a lot like a human, right? Not just like the little automated arms and things that we've all seen for years. And they figure that it costs about $10 to $12 an hour to operate this, and that's currently we're still in the beginning of all of this AI technology, and they're expecting it to get down to as low as $2 to $3 per hour in the near future. So even now, it's hard to find labor for $10 to $12 an hour, right? I mean, I drive around and I see even on fast food places, it's 15, 17, $22 an hour for what used to be entry level jobs. So the other thing you got to take into account is, robots don't steal things.
Sure.
Unfortunately,
Well, unless they're
you know,
trained to do so, I guess. But
well, right. I guess I suppose if you're on the wrong side, but yeah. So I mean, there's a lot pushing for AI, and I think really it's full speed ahead from here. And then as far as what are the effects of that going to be? I mean, obviously, it's going to affect a lot of people, and especially a lot of white collar workers. I think that's what's a little bit different now than maybe with automation, right? In years past, it was
right.
usually more manual labor that was affected negatively by that. This is sort of a flip. They say a lot of white collar jobs, consultants, attorneys, things that artificial intelligence could do pretty easily. Whereas, a robot isn't necessarily going to be as good as showing up to your house and fixing your plumbing. So that's going to have an effect on the stock market. A lot of companies, I think, are going to suffer. Now, there are probably going to be some companies that can benefit as well. However, most of the clients we talk to, they're not in that risk period of their life where they can, buy a stock and let it ride for 15 or 20 years and take the roller coaster. They're looking to protect their money. So while you may be able to do okay if you have a little bit of money you want to play with, I think most people that are looking to preserve capital, stick with what stick with what works. Precious metals, real estate, tangibles. Rely on those things and speculate a little bit maybe, but don't have all your money in the market. That's for certain.
Right. Well, and I can tell you just in what I've been watching in the financial news over the holidays, last maybe month or two. The reason I think that this AI is picking up speed and momentum quite quickly,
Hmm.
um, I mean, it has been at the forefront of what they're talking about, in the financial markets and in the news. And,
Hmm.
when you look at what it has done and what it will potentially or probably ultimately do to that job market, it's going to really change the whole landscape of how things, move out
Right.
there, how people get paid, the type of jobs they can do. And,
Hmm.
in times past, this was something that had a specific effect on the blue collar workers, auto
Right.
manufacturers and things of that nature. But as it mentions in this article, now this is getting into where the displacement of even white collar workers
Hmm. Yeah.
for a plethora of reasons. So, well, anyway, thank you, Chris. And,
Yeah.
this is something that I'm sure we'll be talking about again. So hopefully you can join us. Thank you for those of you who are tuning in. If you'd like any additional information, you see our phone number there, 800-289-2646. Please feel free and contact us. We have tremendous resources at no charge. They're free to you. Or you can visit us online at swissamerica.com. If you're not already, please subscribe to this podcast. Follow us on social media. Leave us some comments. Love to hear from you. So thanks again, Chris. And we will
Yep.
be back with you, I'm sure, here before long. And we're checking in on artificial intelligence as well as many other things.